I'd like to call this regular meeting of the Madison Elementary School District Board to order. Please call the roll.
President Holcomb.
Here.
Vice President Gresham.
Here.
Member Kazi. Member Spear.
Here.
Member Thompson.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. First up is adoption of the agenda. Does any member of administration or the board want to have any changes to the agenda? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion to adopt the agenda, please.
So moved. I will second.
Moved by Ms. Gresham, seconded by Ms. Spear. Please vote. Oh, all those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? It passes unanimously. Next up, we have the executive session. We do have a scheduled executive session, so I will entertain a motion to adjourn into executive session.
I will second. Ms.
Moved by Ms. Thompson, second by Ms. Spear. Voice vote? Yeah. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. None opposed. That passes unanimously. We are going into executive session. We will return and not start the meeting until 6 o'clock. Anybody else? Up? Come on in, it's a party now. No other volunteers?
Mrs. Ritchie, have you met Stephen Lee?
I have not.
Hi, how you doing?
This is Kathy Ritchie.
Hi,
Our
I'm
parents
Steve Lee.
today.
Nice to- Thank you very much, appreciate it.
We're excited.
Well, thank you, yeah,
My daughter is in third grade,
excellent,
so
awesome.
are you from an immersion program prior? I don't remember. I apologize.
No, so I'm from Paradise Valley
Okay.
at Palomino Primary. So,
Okay.
yeah,
Well, we're very excited.
well, thank you very much.
You have a very good community of parents.
I'm
We're big
excited,
supporters,
it's
so,
amazing, I am
yeah.
so impressed,
Yeah.
it's,
Well,
So-
welcome.
oh, thank
We're
you.
excited to
Yeah.
see you next year.
Thank you, thank you. Oh, yeah. And I kind of thought too, like, I'm gonna come up with just a list of like all the things of Stamp Rapid Fire things I want to know, like old stuff, and so it started to come to me after I left. I'm like, oh wait, I need to
There's
know.
little
Yeah.
things too on like. It's like, okay, we have one bus, you know. And everybody else even back. So we've got. Things now.
I'm doing the same thing. Making my check. Just print that out and go, wait, is this what we have here or no? Is this what we have here or no? What's it called here?
That's great. Yes. Well, I started. That's how I started my administrative career. Three phases. So phase one is the class. Baseball field. So it's gonna be hard, so it's phase two. Yeah, there's a lot going on.
I do have to say, phases is better than disjunctive because
Really?
last year during the busing, the bus shortage, never where you need to be.
I can do this. So proud. Yeah. Big move. Oh, I know, right? First time I've ever make a change from every year. First time I don't. The face and the circle, orange and blue, always draw my eye, but I don't think I've ever. Yeah, it's either she decided that that wasn't appropriate. For now. We'll see. He wants it over here at the back. Because if this were my glasses. Sure, of course. Yeah. That's right. We're still doing the Facebook page. The stash merch. I know, but not the school one. Not the school one. Alright. I know. Okay. Sure. Okay. If she just like this is slippery. What is I feel like once we get money, I have a good connection. Yeah. That's what you want.
And I think it was pretty unanimous.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
It is time.
Kathy Ritchie. Got so quiet all of a sudden. I'd like to reconvene this regular session of the Madison Elementary School District Board. It is now time for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ms. Webb, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That brings us to the superintendent's report. Dr. Guerin.
Good evening, President Holcomb, members of the board, cabinet, and honored guests. Very excited this evening to welcome our new administrators, some familiar faces, and we look forward to introducing you formally to the board in just a few minutes. I am absolutely thrilled to share that our 8 school safety grants have been renewed. I think we all should go. This funds 7 counselors and 1 social worker. So every school has 2 support positions, either 2 counselors, 2 social workers, or 1 of each. We heard from both budget advisory and interest-based negotiations, and frankly, every time I go in a building, I hear how critical these supports are, working in tandem with our stellar administrators. So we're so grateful that the funding is continuing. As the staffing shortage continues, we are still struggling to fill our MAC club positions at Madison Adventure Club. Our Director of Community Ed and her team have been working tirelessly to recruit so we can remove families from the wait list. I've spoken to several stakeholders, and we will present an update to the board at our next board meeting. In addition, I will provide an update in writing to our families that are currently on the wait list. We understand that the uncertainty of childcare for next year is a challenge for families, and we are working on creative solutions to address the problem, and we believe we have some innovative ideas to continue to move the needle on those wait lists. Yesterday, we enacted our emergency response plan at Madison No. 1 Middle School after the Phoenix Police Department reported receiving a threat to our campus. I am relieved to report that no credible threat was substantiated. I do want to express my sincere gratitude to Phoenix Police Department for their swift response, minutes, the staff at Madison No. 1, the staff at district office also went in lockdown, the district staff that supported at No. 1, and our incredible students and families. Together, we navigated an extremely challenging emotional situation, and I'm so grateful that A, we practice, B, that it was not a substantiated threat, and C, that we all came together to focus on keeping each other safe. That's all I have for tonight.
Thank you. Now we go back to administrator introductions. So I pass it back to you again.
Well, this is one of my favorite parts of the job. So tonight, we have 5 new administrators that have already been approved by this governing board, but now we'd like to celebrate them. I'd like to start with Mr. Stephen Lee, who will be the new principal for Heights Elementary School. I'd like him to come to the podium, and we can give him a round of applause. Mr. Lee, if you'd like to say a few words and introduce your family.
Yes, so yeah. Thank you very much. I am so excited to be the next principal of Madison Heights. I'm currently the principal up in Paradise Valley. I've been a principal for 12 years up there, and I'm just super excited to take on a new challenge. So with me, I have my wife, Carla, and 3 of my 4 kids, Sadie, Vivian, and Amara.
Okay, next up is a familiar face, Ms. Priscilla Gossett, principal of Park Middle School. We'd like you to come up to the board. She'll be leaving Heights and heading over to Park.
Thank you, members of the governing board, Dr. Guerin, for this opportunity to go to Madison Park, back home, a homecoming of sorts, since this is where you all allowed me to start my administrative career at Park 5 years ago. It's a little bittersweet. You know, I'm going to miss my Heights family very much, but I'm so looking forward to this new challenge and new opportunity, and to leading the STEAM program over at Park and getting to know all those things. I had an opportunity to go to a STEAM cafe about a week ago, and just wow, the possibilities, and it really got my head spinning with lots of ideas and things. And Mr. Holcomb, remember at Park when you had us meet with all those business partnerships? I mean, I think you were ahead of your time back then in 2006. I was like, well, Mr. Holcomb just basically set up a STEAM cafe for us. So he didn't even know he was doing that at the time. So it just reminded me of that, how when you set that up for us many, many, many years ago. So thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you, Ms. Gossett. We're very grateful. Next up is Mr. Andre Reyes, who is currently the assistant principal of Rose Lane, and he will become the principal of Rose Lane. Come on up, Mr. Reyes.
Hi, good evening, Governing Board and Dr. Guerin. I had a few things, and I actually was able to write this down after all the prep and like memorizing things and practicing. It's nice to be able to read a script today, so I'm just going to read this. Well, first, I want to apologize for showing up 2 weeks early for this acknowledgement on March 28th. In my excitement for this role, I believe my brain like fabricated an email from Dr. Guerin, and I showed up, but had a great support staff here to be in support, and so it's wonderful to have a couple of friendly faces back again today. I can't tell you enough how excited I am for this opportunity. I've said it before, but I'll say it again. This is truly a dream job for me. I felt at home at Rose Lane since the moment I started there 4 years ago. So since day one, students, teachers, and staff have been beyond welcoming. The teachers and staff support each other unconditionally, and the students are so full of life and curiosity. I'm honored to know that I will be helping to lead such an amazing place. I want to thank Dr. Guerin and the governing board for trusting me to take on this role and for giving me the opportunity to continue to serve this wonderful community. I appreciate the visibility you all show within the district and the support you offer. I also want to thank Rose for being one of the most influential and impactful mentors that I have ever worked with. She has truly prepared me for this next step, and I am beyond grateful. I want to thank my family for always reminding me how anything can be accomplished through hard work and dedication. I want to thank my girlfriend Araceli for supporting me through the entire principal candidate process and for being there for me through the ups and the downs. And finally, I just want to share again how thrilled I am for what the future at Rose Lane holds. I cannot wait to serve this school and community in reaching and hopefully surpassing the goals that we will set forth next year. It is going to be a wonderful journey, a journey that I cannot wait to embark on. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Reyes. Miss Amber Sherman is up next. She is currently the interim assistant principal for Madison Meadows, and we are ready to make it permanent. Congratulations, Miss Sherman.
Thank you. I'm glad Andre prepared a speech because now I don't feel so silly. This feels like deja vu since I gave a speech like this in July for being the interim assistant principal, and after 155 days, I have a few more people to thank. First of all, I have to thank Katie Clark. She's the peanut butter to my jelly. You'll literally see that on the yearbook dedication page. We were peanut butter and jelly. I don't want to bore you with the list of things she's taught me over the year, but I have to tell you a story then when she gave me confidence. It was a day when I was trying to make a decision. She just looked at me and said, "You're the boss now." And I remember that now. I'm a boss. It's crazy. I have to thank my teachers and staff who just killed it at state testing, by the way. At the moment, I think I'm my proudest of what I've seen. I see something that puts me in awe of what my students are learning on our campus, and so I have to thank the students as well. They're my why. Last, I'd like to thank my husband, Matt, who is here. He didn't know what he was getting into when he married a teacher, but neither of us knew what it would be like to be in a marriage with an administrator, so we are working through those days. And I have to say that I would rather work through every bad day with you than any good day with anyone else. So here's to another year of learning and growing, and I hope I am better tomorrow than I was today. And thank you for this opportunity.
And last but certainly not least, and we're going to let you stay right where you are if you'd like, Miss Laura Webb is our Director for Curriculum and Instruction. She served as the principal representative on cabinet this year, and we stole her from Madison Simus to lead our curriculum department.
Can you hear me? President Holcomb, board members, Dr. Guerin, cabinet, and guests, thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. At Simus, we have announcements every day, and we have a theme. Thursdays are Thankful Thursdays, and I encourage kids to take a moment to be thankful for something, and the second part of that is that we ask them to take action and tell the person that they're thankful or tell the people why they're grateful, just to express gratitude. And so I thought that was a good thing for me to do as well. I'm grateful for so many people who have helped me and influenced me both personally and professionally throughout this journey. First, my husband, who's here, who's supported me through thick and thin. My daughters, who grew up alongside the students that I taught and sometimes had to take a back seat to some of those students. To the principals and directors who gave me leadership opportunities and encouraged me to take risks. To Barb Marshall, who challenges me to step outside my comfort zone and also gives me the freedom to try new things and encourages that. So thank you. To Dr. Guerin and the board for entrusting me to take on this new role. And finally, to the Simus community, this placement really has been life-changing for me. I am so thankful to staff that hung in there the last few years through some difficult years, and for trusting the changes and making me a better educator and gave me confidence for this new endeavor. So it's with a sincere feeling of gratitude that I'm able to call a fifth Madison site my professional home next year, and I'm honored to serve as the Curriculum and Instruction Director. Thank you.
That it for the By the way, I want to just share, this is unique, in that next year of our 8 schools, we will have 6 new principals at the different schools. And a lot of places that would be some, oh my God, that's happening. Is it 5? No.
Well, and we moved. We
Moved. Yeah, sorry. New, not all new to Madison, but new to different schools. Priscilla, you're causing problems again. But I am so excited for that because it's all for very good reasons. I mean, we have people move up. We've had such excellent administrators already. Some are moving up to the district office. They're making changes, but we're able to also advance some people who have been assistant principals within the school district too. And so it is not something we're concerned about or dreading. It's something we're really looking forward to, really moving the district forward. And I want to thank all of you and all the administrators, moving to a different school, joining Madison, moving up, and the families that are going to have to put up with them through this process. But I'm actually very, very excited about that. And so with that, we go to, we're ready for governing board? Do you have anything more on that? Okay.
Governing board reports.
Yes, governing board reports. Since I started down that road, I'll finish mine. That I'm thankful for that. I'm also hoping people will be coming to the Madison Education Foundation Fabulous 80s Gala. I have found my 80s attire that does go with a beard. It's not very difficult, and I will have my own fan club there for my family. So please come and join us. Get your big hair out, your padded shoulder pads, your pink flamingos, if you remember Miami Vice, come out, and we will have some great music videos, live DJ. Dr. Guerin's own budding rock star and his band playing.
I don't play an instrument, it's my son, so.
Oh, I
let's
thought
just
I said
clarify.
son. So-
Okay.
But it's going to be a great evening, and it all goes to support the arts in Madison. And with that, I'll go, who should I go first? Huh? Ms. Thompson.
See, I spoke up and said he should have a wheel, and I get to go next. Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to thank everyone at number one, the administrators, the students, the staff, the district office for handling everything so well yesterday. Any time we experience either a practice drill or a threat like this, it is a very challenging situation. I'm deeply disturbed. We have people in the greater community, not our community, but in the greater community who somehow think this is something that's fun to watch. It is deeply traumatic for the people who experience it, and I'm extremely proud of our students, our staff, our administrators for how they handled yesterday, and grateful for how the authorities handled interacting with our community yesterday as well. So thank you for that. I've been continuing visits to campus. I've been over to SIMUS. I'm working as a mentor with one of the IB student groups, and that is just such a fun project to do, to see those students leaning in on those projects. So thank you, Ms. Webb, for allowing me to be able to participate in that. Looking forward to the 80s Gala, but also sometime coming up, night at the museum and a movie night over at Heights, and about 16 other things that are happening as the school year ends. So just want to say thank you to folks for that. And also, Mr. Holcomb, you asked for ideas for costumes with beards. I think ZZ Top is the best thing I could come up with.
I was actually able to get concert T-shirts from the 1980s concert. So yes, they may be there. Ms. Kazi. I'm trying to remember everybody.
I'm getting this feeling like it's like a firing line thing. It's very strange. No, I want to echo Ms. Thompson's comments, but also thank our new leaders that are moving, and new leaders to the Madison School District. We are so thrilled that you have accepted these positions, and we know you will be doing great things. So just want to recognize Mr. Lee, Ms. Gossett, Mr. Reyes, Ms. Sherman, and Ms. Webb again. It's sometimes sad, I know, for the people that, in their communities that you're moving away from. I know we will miss you terribly, Ms. Devine, but we know we are keeping you on a little bit longer. But you know that your legacies and wherever you're leaving from and going to are really intact and impressive. I've had the opportunity to participate in 2 day-long, and when I say day-long, I mean day-long, strategic planning sessions for the Madison Center for the Arts and the Madison Education Foundation. They have been intense but productive, and I want to thank Dr. Guerin and definitely and most certainly Ms. Garvey for making that happen because of the selection of the consultant that you chose to guide these conversations. They're challenging, but they're important, and I think what we're going to come up with is a plan that will allow for higher levels of sustainability for the Madison Center for the Arts, and also cleaner and clearer direction from the Madison Education Foundation to allow that organization to grow organizationally and prosper, therefore supporting our students and giving them access to the arts in a more expansive and exciting way. And then also I continue to feel honored to be able to serve as a mentor for both the IB Community Project at Meadows with the 8th graders and the IB Exhibition Project. And exhibition is so fun. If you ever have a chance, check it out at Simus. It's just getting underway. So that is my report, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Ms. Spear.
Thank you so much. Another congratulations to Mr. Lee and Ms. Gossett and Mr. Reyes and Ms. Sherman, and who I still want to call you by your maiden name, and my apologies to your husband on that. And Ms. Webb, I have nothing but just the utmost amount of respect and gratitude for each of you for taking on this new role and for continuing to be leaders within Madison District. Everybody does look to our leaders in times of crisis and for inspiration. And I know that carries a lot of weight, and I am grateful for your professionalism and your expertise and your commitment. And with that, I also wanted to say thank you to the Phoenix Police Department, as well as all Madison No. 1 and district office staff for helping to navigate yesterday's lockdown, and also to reiterate my relief that our school safety grants were also approved. Social workers help keep all of our students and our staff safe. They are critical to our mission to keep students and staff safe, and I am just grateful that they are going to continue to be funded through those safety grants, and that's really all I have. Oh, I am also working with some Madison Meadows students on their commitment to clean up Lake Pleasant. So I think there was some diving for trash a couple weekends ago, so I'm going to get an update on that. With that, thank you. That's all I have.
Ms. Gresham.
Thank you. I also want to welcome and congratulate all our new administration and leaders. It'll be an exciting time in the fall, so we look forward to that. I was going to speak about this. I was going to tag on to what Sarah mentioned last week, and then we had the lockdown yesterday, and my son was in the lockdown. And see if I can get through this. It's so traumatic for the students, for the teachers and staff. I'm just so tired of it, and I do appreciate all the patience of the parents and the community. So I'm not sure many of you know, but gun violence is now the #1 cause of death for children and teens in the United States. It's #1. I saw a couple weeks ago a list of the school shootings that have happened the last 30 years or so. It's hundreds of them. And so, as Ms. Spear said last week, we've got to stop this. Not only was my son asking me yesterday to be picked up because he wanted to see his parents again, I had texts and calls from other concerned parents, texting and calling the rest of the day. So we're learning, every time this happens, we learn something new. And so I just want to thank everyone for their patience, and I just am so sorry for the students and staff that had to go through that. Hopefully we won't have to continue to do this, and I hope that we don't do this enough that we become good at it, because that would be way too many times to have to do this. There are some states have laws that require safe storage of weapons. Arizona does not, but they've floated some. But until then, there are also resolutions and such. I encourage everyone, especially my fellow board members, to go. I've been a part of a group for a long time called Moms Demand Action. So we go and go down to the Capitol and advocate for gun safety. And so there's one about the importance of keeping guns away from children and storing your firearms safely. It's called, the website's besmartforkids.org. So I encourage everyone to go on there and look at that. So I think that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. That brings us now to our consent items, consent agenda. Does any member of administration or the board want to remove anything from the consent agenda? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion to adopt the consent agenda as presented.
So moved. I will second.
Moved by Ms. Thompson, seconded by Ms. Spear. Please vote. Did it come up? Oh. Did it go through? We're not, huh?
Go through, Adam? Okay.
Oh, wait, there it came back up again.
Please bear with us. We're having technical difficulties.
What? What? Oh. There we go. That passes. Do we want to, the legislative update, Marcus is not here. See him? Here.
Mr. Osborne, Dr. Osborne, a former member of our governing board, was actually scheduled to be here. I suspect maybe the legislature has absconded with him and made him unavailable to us. And so he is currently a lobbyist that works down at the state capitol and often has a very relevant finger on the pulse of what is going on really. You know, we get sort of like the blush at the media level, and then we kind of get the real scoop. So it looks like he is not available. So just,
Yeah.
there you go.
The legislature has him, his finders keepers. In any event, hopefully he'll come again. Our next items will be, I'm gonna take it slightly out of order and do the call to the public, and then we'll have the action items after that. These are exciting meetings, but if people are, if you're wanting to go and live your lives, you're welcome to do that. But we will continue on with our business whether you're here or not, but you're welcome to be here. But first, call to the public, Ms. Kathy Ritchie. I didn't mean to scare away your crowd. Sorry about that. Sorry about that.
Thank you. Should I go ahead? Okay.
Here, you may go ahead.
Thank you. Superintendent Guerin, members of the governing board, my name is Kathy Ritchie. I'm a parent of a third grader at Madison Heights. I've been actively involved in the Spanish Immersion Parent Group for a couple of years now, and I've had the chance to learn more about this program as well as hear from other parents, both from Heights and Number One. Like many parents, I have concerns, but I'm not here to talk about those today. I think it's important that you hear about some of the wins I'm seeing as a parent, and that's why I'm here. Thanks to Nancy Leone, who, by the way, is a tremendous, tremendous asset to our district and to the Spanish Immersion Program, and Principal Gossett, there's a small group of parents at Heights working to organize 2 Spanish-related events in person, finally. The first is a Dia de los Niños fiesta on April 28th, and I encourage you to attend if you can. And if you can't, Number One is also hosting a Dia de los Niños event on May 1st. Dia de los Niños is something that's celebrated in many Spanish-speaking countries and is a way to honor and celebrate our children. On May 12th, Madison Heights will host our Spanish Career Day, where we'll have bilingual professionals talking to our children about their work and how speaking both Spanish and English has helped them succeed. The Spanish Summer Camp is filling up and fully staffed. And there are a few upcoming field trips for the Spanish Immersion students at Number One and Heights, which we're all very excited about. Spanish Immersion is a very special program. And it aligns beautifully with our current strategic plan and goals and commitments, including future-focused learning and community strength. The benefits of being fully bilingual are multifactorial, According to Language Magazine, bilinguals possess transversal competencies such as taking different perspectives, ignoring irrelevant information, problem solving, multitasking, and dealing with conflicting cues, and will be highly regarded in an increasingly integrated global world market. I think we have something really wonderful here, but more work needs to be done. This program will continue to require your support. And in order to retain and recruit teachers while providing engaging and dynamic learning environment for our students. I also hope that we'll see continued collaboration between our new principals at Heights and Number One. I think I've said this before to some of you, there are 22 Spanish-speaking countries with their own cultures, customs, as well as opportunities. Spanish speakers are not a monolith, and with your continued support, Madison has the potential to become a leader in this space of dual immersion. So with that, I thank you for your time, and I am available for questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you for your support.
Thank you.
And you've got a captive audience back there with the new principal. All right, and the Spanish immersion program is something we are very proud of. Okay, and now, next up is the board policy second read. Dr. Guerin.
President Holcomb, Vice President Gresham, members of the board, cabinet, and guests. We have our second read on field trips this evening. So Ms. Marshall is available if you have any questions. We're asking for your approval tonight.
Any members of the board have any questions or comments? Okay. With that, that's the second read. This is an action. I will call for a motion to accept the policy.
So moved.
Second.
It's moved by Ms. Kazi, and the race was won by Ms. Gresham. Please vote.
My goodness.
And that passes unanimously. That brings us down to action items. The first one is the superintendent's 2023-24 budget recommendations. Dr. Guerin.
Thank you, President Holcomb, members of the board, cabinet, and guests. I'm very pleased to present this evening the superintendent's budget recommendations for the 23-24 school year. So if we could pull up the slides. If you, I think, escape out of here.
Alt tab.
Oh, there we go. Right there, 9.1. Is it on the? Okay, thank you. I am remiss for not thanking Kristen Butler for covering this evening. We really, really appreciate it. I actually wrote it down and I didn't say it, so now I really owe her lunch. And also, thank you, Ms. Marshall. All right, so tonight's budget recommendations, if you click to the next slide, thank you. I'll provide a summary of our March 28th governing board meeting. I will cover briefly the state funding and projected budget that was also reviewed at our March meeting, and then I will share recommendations. So first, I really want to thank two different groups that helped with this process. I've shared this before. We have interest-based negotiation committee members, and Dr. Lomeli and Ms. Marshall led this group. It's made of 3 separate groups, certified, classified, and administrators, and they work together not just focused on the benefits of their group, but on the district as a whole. And they tell stories about challenges and look for solutions and present recommendations. So this is such a successful process and helping us hear the voice of each stakeholder. So thank you to this group. In tandem with interest-based negotiations, and not all districts do this, we have a budget advisory committee which is also made up of stakeholders and also community members. And Ms. Garvey leads this group and shared that the group was so engaged and really had great discussions, a great process. And I think having those two groups come together, they work sometimes separately, and then they come together to bounce ideas off of each other. I think that's why we have such a solid budget process in Madison. So I'm very grateful for that. In regards to the summary, I'm going to share our projected budget, discuss the IBN recommendations briefly that you saw last meeting, the budget advisory recommendations, how the parity study is impacting our work and is one of the most exciting things I believe we've done in years. It's work that we all knew we needed to do, and every district is facing that. And then, of course, the final recommendations. So on this slide, you will notice that the projected revenue, we are saying we're cost neutral on our average daily membership. We are just looking forward that it would be the same amount of students. So if we have any changes, we'll work that in the budget, of course, but we are working with our demographer to look at trends, but we're hoping to stay even with our enrollment. I'm sorry, go back one more. Thank you. For our base support level increase, though we have not received a budget from the legislature yet, that we, because of statutory requirements, we are guaranteed a 2% inflation increase, which would increase our base support by $661,000. We look at our budget balance carry forward, which was $2.8 million. We set over $1 million aside for parity, and Ms. Garvey always keeps us in good financial standing, so we want to protect 3 to 4% of that carry forward for rainy day for moving forward. So we will do that. So we felt comfortable, almost $750,000, that we could add that to our projected revenue to spend this year, which brings us to a total of 1.4. Here we have our budget commitments. Just because of roll-up, because of our increased focus on inclusion for special ed teachers and new supports required for our English language learners, we're looking at adding an additional 11 FTE. Ms. Marshall did share with me there is a possibility that we could seek some additional funding to help us support those 3 EL positions, but we're working on that now. So, and I know the board already knows this, but please know, no stone unturned in regards to working to save money when positions that we have to add. Congratulations to Ms. Garvey for our medical increase only being 4%. Yes. Especially because our coverage is top notch. And when you talk to interest-based negotiations or budget advisory, they said they wanted to keep the current benefits we have and that we are absorbing those costs as an employer instead of passing them on to our employees, I think is really important and not something every district does. In addition, the retirement contribution is going up just a smidge. That's not a financial term. That's my own budgeting term, smidge. So you'll see that cost increase there as well. So our increase in projected expenditures is a little over $1 million, which leaves us with a balance of just $400,000. We are hopeful that we will receive more money once the legislature creates a budget for K-12 education, but we're just not there yet. So this is what we know now. And we were in the same position last year, if you remember. So interest-based IBN budget recommendations. Their first priority was salary. They were recommending a minimum of 2% within the parity, so that would be minimum. And then if additional money is available, they're interested in looking at an additional 3% salary increase. And they also want to move all but $1,000 from pay for performance, which is cost neutral. Number 2 were benefits. They did not want to change benefits. They just wanted to keep the benefits we have. They're very appreciative of our stellar benefits. Their number 3 was the classified level up program, which allowed classified employees to enhance what they take home based on a menu of items. The student behavior support, they recommended adding 1 more behavior intervention specialist. And most people might be aware that we added a behavior specialist last year, and it was such a needed position and so well received because students coming back from COVID, with some of the benchmarks that they missed, there was just an increase in behavior challenges. So to have a go-to person to provide support and suggestions was so important for our staff. So that's why they would like 1 for elementary, 1 for middle. They've also asked for an additional special education coach, which we can fund out of a grant. Increase extra duty pay. We did increase it during the pandemic, and of course, staff doesn't want to see it go back down to where it was, and we hadn't changed it for years. So that is a recommendation. Training and professional development for classified staff, create a supervisor expectation checklist, and create position training manuals, which is really outside of the budgeting process but was agreed upon. Continue the PBIS allocation stipends that we currently have. Add a permanent guest teacher to the elementary schools, inclusive of MTA. Any budget surplus goes to salary increases. So if we do all of that, but wait, we have more money, that's what number 10 means. And then add a classroom aide per campus in addition to the results-based funding one we currently have. Add a stipend for 3 to 4 years as a longevity retention stipend. Add a doctorate to exempt salary schedule, create a 504 stipend, an additional retention stipend, add a 0.5 health associate to support the lead nurse, and add 1 additional day to 9 and 10-month employees. So those were the IBN budget recommendations. Budget advisory recommended parity, or 2% would be the minimum an employee would receive, and it could be greater if parity supported that. And then they were asking for an additional 0.4 salary increase on top of the 2% or parity, whichever is greater, and that would equal just under $400,000. Again, budget advisory stressed before even considering salary increases, they wanted to keep the counselors, the social workers, and the kindergarten instructional aides, and we are doing that. So it just speaks to the need and the appreciation of this support. If more money is available, budget advisory would like to see an additional 0.6 salary increase. Again, the classified level up program. A dean of students, or we decided to change that to teacher on assignment. They also are interested in a behavior interventionist, an additional salary increase, the permanent sub at elementary schools and MTA. They were interested in increasing the social studies coach to full-time, providing a stipend for our Section 504 school coordinators, the part-time health assistant to support the lead nurse, add up to 3 additional holidays for 9 and 10-month employees. Over some breaks, they have unpaid work days off. Class size, to combat that, 1 full-time instructional aide per school in addition to the one they already have. And full support special ed coach paid through grant funding. So you'll see a lot of similarities with both committees, but also some differences. So based on really robust discussion at the cabinet level, and based on this stellar committee work, the superintendent budget recommendations out of maintenance and operations, I'm recommending a 2% salary increase or parity, whichever is greater. So for example, if your position to get to parity allows for the recommended 3.5% increase, you would have a 3.5% increase, not 3.5% plus 2%. But the minimum everyone would have, it would be 2%. So if we found in our parity study, when we compared positions to 10 other neighboring districts, if we found that you were within the median range, then you would get 2%. If we found that there was a gap, you would get more than 2%. Ms. Garvey and Dr. Lomeli just sent out an email today inviting staff to some information sessions so they can ask specific questions. The parity work is complicated, so we want to provide time for employees to seek understanding and know how it impacts them, because we went position by position by position. So I'm just so grateful for the work behind the scenes to make this happen. In addition, separate after we do the salary increase or the parity increase, I'm recommending an additional 1% salary increase applied to everybody. So that's an additional $322,000. I do recommend that we move forward with the classified level up. I think it will help with retention and skill growth of our classified staff. The restructure pay for performance, we're recommending reducing the pay for performance down to $1,000. We're still required to have pay for performance, but I think this year it was about $3,400. So we can take that additional money and put it into the base salary. So it's a win without costing the district money. And there are other districts doing this as well, because this has become a really stable funding source for us. In regards to some of the recommendations, we're looking at non-maintenance and operations funding. I would like to support the behavior specialist position, and that would be funded out of ESSER. We have one more school year of ESSER. It sunsets a year from this upcoming September. I'm recommending 3 teacher on assignment positions for our largest schools, which is Madison Meadows, Madison No. 1, and Madison Simus. These teacher on assignments would support the assistant principal in supporting students, not only preventative behavior support, counseling, coaching, all of those things, so the principal can focus more of his or her time on instruction and signature program and all of that. There's just so much to do in all schools, but these schools are particularly large. We are recommending the continuation of a retention stipend of $600 for every employee. That will cost us $435,000. This will be our last retention stipend because it's our last year of ESSER, unless we can find a way to work it out with our last summer of money, but that's next year. The special education coach, I'd like to move forward with that, and that is paid out of IDEA. So I just wanted to provide a sample of a couple parity adjustments, and we don't want, Ms. Garvey really took us through a lot last meeting, but we're really pleased that our starting teacher salary right now, it's $45,054. It will go up to $51,000, and that includes the $2,400 of performance-based pay. So Ms. Garvey's been wanting to get that close to 50. I remember when we were excited to get it to 45. So this is really exciting work. For classified, our lowest level paid position is $13.85 right now. That will jump to $15.50. And then Ms. Garvey and Dr. Lomeli worked tirelessly because there is a ripple effect that everyone goes up, and they had to make sure that every salary schedule, that we didn't create more decompression. If additional funds become available, I want to be very clear that this is not in any particular order, because the amount of additional funds will drive the decision making. If we get a significant amount of additional funds, we'll be able to look at a salary increase. If it is such a minor amount that is the additional funds that employees would not even feel it, that we could look at some of these additional things to support that would support their quality of work life on campus. So it really just depends on what that amount is. So of course, salary increase is a priority. The permanent subs that we provided at the middle schools have been a huge success in regards to reducing the number of times we have to split classes when we don't have enough subs. It also serves as a recruitment tool for people that we end up hiring to be teachers. So we'd like to recommend, if additional funds become available, that we have permanent subs for our elementary schools and for MTA, which would cost $188,000 since we already have 4 of them. It would be rounding it out to the full 8. We also would like to add a 504 coordinator stipend. This is a high demand position that requires attention to detail, understanding the law, and all of that. It's a lot of work, so we'd like to honor that. We'd like to add 1 classified paid holiday if funding allows, and adding 1 day would cost $15,000. We've had a lot of discussion on increasing longevity amounts. We have amounts for more years of teaching, and we do want to focus on the 3 to 4 years. We do have a lead nurse that travels from campus to campus just to support others, so to provide a 0.5 support so she can leave her post would be greatly appreciated, and we'll have to see if we have the funding for that. And we'd also like to consider the request for full-time instructional aides at each campus. We know how valuable the ones we have are right now. So this list here will just depend on the amount of money that we get after the legislative session is over. So my budget recommendation can be captured on this slide. This is what I am seeking approval for this evening. Please let me know if you have any questions.
Any questions, comments from the board? Ms. Kazi?
So I just want to say that I am very excited about this budget recommendation proposal. I think it's solid. Obviously, we will be excited to learn from the legislature if we will have additional funds available for us to meet the additional needs we clearly have in our district. But we certainly, with the addressing with the parity study, this is a conversation that has been occurring on this board that predates my tenure on the board, and I am in my 9th year. So I would love Dr. Lumley to just talk about a little bit, if she could share with not only the board, but with everyone that's listening, how this parity study not only supports ensuring that we are at least meeting the median of some of our competitive districts, but also addressing that onerous decompression issue that started during the Great Recession and has really, I think, bedeviled us for a long time.
Mr. President, members of the board, Dr. Guerin, cabinet, this parity work is really another phase of the work that was begun last year, and it's really honoring the employees that have been loyal to the district and really taking a look at how we compare with a comparable group of districts to get us up to median. And also, we're looked at how we compare with industry. So I think it really honors our employees and the hard work, and really provides an opportunity for us to be a little bit more competitive as well as we recruit for all positions. But it's really exciting to see that our teacher salaries are going up, and really being a lot more competitive now with some of the changes that are happening across the city and the state.
Other questions, comments? Ms. Spear?
I wanted to thank all of the members of the IBN team as well as all members of the budget advisory team. They put in so much time and so much energy, and I have sat on committees like that before, and they can be emotional and they can be rewarding, and I'm just grateful for the leadership of Ms. Marshall and Ms. Garvey and Dr. Lomeli for leading those organizations, those groups, and also just to express my support for this budget. And one other thing that I don't believe that everybody understands as to why parity was so important is we would hire a teacher, let's say at $25,000, and then they would stay for 5 years and they would get very minimal raises because this was during the Great Recession, and so we didn't have any money. And then the recession ended and we were able to raise our salary rates and then hire people at a higher, in some cases, at the same amount with 5 years less experience or even more. And so that does not do anything for morale. 5 years of experience should count for something. We have been desperately trying to fix this for my entire tenure on the board. And this is a really big deal that we're able to finally be able to do this. This is, as you said, something that has bedeviled us. That's a really good word, because it is a culture killer to have this kind of like thing out there, and to be able to fix this, and in some cases raise salaries. I'm guessing, I think that I did see in some of our pre-board prep, one position was going to be raised, I believe 6%. Was one even higher, Ms. Garvey?
Mr. President, Ms. Spear, yes, one of the positions was significantly higher than 6%. It was probably closer to 15.
Wow.
So thank you to those employees who have stuck around this long and been underpaid, not because we didn't want to pay you, but because this is so much bigger than just giving a raise. And so it has been a long time coming. I'm so grateful that I got to see this while sitting on the board, and that I'm going to get to say, vote yes for this budget.
Ms. Spear, can I just add to something that you said? It is sometimes easy to give employees the same thing. It gets very complicated when there finally is money and you don't give the same to everyone. It is because of the work of these 3 people on the cabinet that is so careful and so thoughtful and so much research and time that our employees are trusting the process and that we have transparency and we can show exactly how the decisions were made. So sometimes this work, it is very complicated, and sometimes even something as good as this cannot go well because it's not the same for every employee. We're not in this situation because of our team, and I just want to express my gratitude. Thank you.
Ms. Thompson.
I just want to echo those sentiments about the parity study, but also want to say, related to a comment that was made at the last meeting, I just want to lean in on the fact that this district, with the involvement we have with budget advisory and IBN, there are no surprises. There's trust that's built in the process. As board members, we know not just what the cabinet's recommendations are, but we know what the community's priorities are, and that's incredibly powerful. So I'm thankful for all of that work that goes into that, not just from the community members, as you pointed out, that sit on those committees, but the work that our administration has to do that, and I'm grateful for that work that you've done. I'm also very thankful, and I know you mentioned this, Dr. Guerin, that keeping benefits at 4% was yeoman's work. I know you might be disappointed that you didn't get them lower, but that was it's impressive, and also for those who might be listening who've maybe just worked in this district or haven't worked in other places, it's very uncommon that an employer is picking up benefits, like not just having a great plan, but that an employer is covering benefits, and that employees aren't paying a significant portion in some cases of that on their own. So I'm grateful that that's a priority, that's been a priority really for quality, because in essence, that's a salary increase for our employees. So thank you for that. I'm excited to be able to support this budget as well, and that's all I have.
Ms. Grissom?
I guess I'm being called on.
But you don't.
No, it's great, and thank you for everyone's work on this, and I'm happy to support these recommendations. I think the permanent subs is a really good suggestion. It's very important. So I'm very hopeful that we will get some extra funding for next year, and that we can provide, if not all of these extra suggestions, that we can at least do some of those. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I can't tell you how much I appreciate the process and the people who are involved across the board. It has not always been this way, and the way the process is done, I think particularly over the last, say, 4 or 5 years in particular, the process each year has gotten better and better, more inclusive. But one thing that's always been that when I've been involved in it is the quality of the people involved. If you look at some of these things, it's very easy to say, well, put all the money to salary increases. There's a lot of concerted thought by people who are not just asking for salary, but to the organization, to the culture, to the future, to really making the district stronger, and for the support for parity, because there's some people going to get less money than others because of the parity or the increases in classified, and that's being supported by people not because there's any gain to themselves, but because they want to do it for the community. For, if I say the Madison family, they're part of it. That is such an important thing. It's always impressed me a great deal. And one thing I wanted to point out too is, some of these don't always judge what these expenditures are on the title that goes with them. For example, the teacher on assignment, that is not just a teacher, wandering around. That is in the school. It is, or doing just one specific thing. That is a way that we do part of a teacher going into helping in administrative roles. That's what we've done. And that's so important to be able to free up our principals and assistant principals to be able to give more support to the teachers. That is. Same thing with the permanent subs. It's not just a sub, that is another teacher that's there when subs are needed to do that, but to give other support to the school. And again, that goes back to people who are involved in this who could otherwise say, hey, we need to put all this into my salary that's here. Instead, they're saying, no, we need to hire other people to do these things to make the system better and to better serve our students and our families. And that's why I am so thankful that this is the process, and so thankful for everybody who's involved. And it's very, very professional. And actually, it's a very much, if I may say, balance. It's very professionally done, very detailed, very looked at. This is the appropriate way to do it. But it's also very people-oriented, too. This is what's fair. This is what we need to do for the people involved. And so being involved in this process makes me very proud. Any other comments? Then I would entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the superintendent's 2023-2024 budget recommendations.
I'll second.
That was Ms. Spear moved, Ms. Gresham seconded. Please vote. Did it go through? There it is. That passes unanimously. That brings us up to the 2023-24 staff contract templates. Dr. Guerin.
Mr. President, members of the board, cabinet, and guests, I'd like to turn this one over to Dr. Lomalee to talk about staff contract templates.
Thank you, Dr. Guerin. Mr. President, members of the board, cabinet, we request that you approve our staff contract template so that we can issue contracts for the 23-24 school year. The contracts that are before you have been reviewed by legal counsel.
Ms. Spear.
Have there been any changes to these contract templates since we have seen them last?
Not since you have seen them last, no.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Kazi.
I don't know if we want to wait for Ms. Thompson, but unless there are any other questions, I'm happy to move the item in question.
I think we're comfortable going forward. Okay. So it's been moved by Ms. Kazi. Is there a second?
I will second the motion.
Second by Ms. Spear. And please vote. Yep. And that passes, and I'm sure it would be unanimous. Okay. That brings us up to the next item, 9.3. While you were gone, we elected you to be the permanent representative to the ASB Legislative Council. We just voted on the contract templates, which had not been changed since the last time. All right. Dr. Guerin.
So, Mr. President, Vice President Gresham, members of the board and cabinet, this next one is actually a team effort by Ms. Garvey and Dr. Lomalee in regards to the salary ranges, which include the parity work. So they have been working morning, noon, and night on this. So I will turn it over to one of them.
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the board, Dr. Guerin, and cabinet. The salary schedules presented to you tonight do include the parity work, which do reflect the new starting pay that was talked about at the last board meeting. There will also be some changes specifically in the exempt and classified schedules, where you will see, or whomever might look at them, will see that some of the positions actually move different categories due to the parity work and where we lined up in relation to our 10 comparison districts. The classified salary schedule was numeric before, 6 through 19, I believe, and now it is A through N. So there was that change, as well as the positions being in different categories. All that work is reflected in these. These schedules do include the superintendent budget recommendations. So since they've been approved, then these reflect the accurate amounts. And that's it.
Are there any questions or comments? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion to approve the new salary ranges.
So moved.
I will second.
Was that Ms. Thompson? That's what I thought. And then a second by Ms. Spear. Please vote. That passes unanimously. That brings us to discussion regarding future meetings. Dr. Guerin.
President Holcomb, Vice President Gresham, members of the board, cabinet, and guests. Our next meeting is going to be on April 25th. We will have You Make a Difference Shining Star for Heights #1, District Office, and MTA. So it will be quite a busy award event. We will also have the Heights School Showcase. We will not right now need an executive session. We will have Arizona School Board Association political agenda for the 23 school year. We will also have a Madison Adventure Club update in regards to our strategies, waitlist update, all of that. So, and then we will also have an action item from Ms. Garvey, resolution for sale of school improvement bonds. Moving on to May 9th, we will have the 22-23 spring recognitions at 5 p.m. for the Madison Center for the Arts. We will have a public hearing on district budget revisions and a student art teacher spring team recognitions. We will have a REACH update as an information item. The REACH Parent Advisory Group has met 3 times, and we're working on bringing recommendations forward for program enhancements no matter where the site is. So some of those are immediately actionable that we can enact for next year. So we're excited about those recommendations, and I appreciate all the work of Mr. George and Miss Amy Ball on that. And we will also have a district budget revision and publication of notices. In the May meeting, we'll start our promotion ceremonies. So it is going to be a race to the finish, and we are going to keep all of you very busy.
Yeah. Before we go out to anyone else, move that down just a bit. I think the 2020 and 2021 budget, I think that's expired already. So I think that coupon is dead.
Absolutely. So Ms. Humphreys, what she does is she puts things in red that we've done in the past so that we don't forget, and we just haven't updated them yet. So there is a method.
Thank you.
And we're not going to go back and look at the 2020 budget, we promise.
It was so much fun. Any other questions, comments, or suggestions for the calendar? I did have a couple of questions on the ASBA policy. When will we be getting that? And also, in the Friday, the Friday reports of getting what we've did last year, and getting that as soon as possible so we can have some input on that.
Absolutely. So I haven't received it yet, President Holcomb, but what I can do is nudge a little bit just in case it is sitting in an inbox or on a desk, just because Mr. Humphreys is out this week. So we'll make sure that we get that to you in time for you to really look at the
Okay. And if the legislature does release Dr. Osborne, if we can get him on the calendar, we'd still like to have him come. I want the legislative update, but it's also nice to see Marcus. Anything else? With that, then I will entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Second?
Moved by Ms. Spear, seconded by Ms. Thompson. Please vote. Drum roll, please. We are adjourned.